Hello and welcome to FoodTech 101. Now I've got a problem. I've just made up this interesting and tasty dessert because that's what I do. I sit at home thinking of ways to make desserts, obviously. But I've not quite got a good enough title for it. And kind of my working title is Apple Parcels, but a little bit boring. So this is what I'm going to do. The best one rather. Whoever comes up with the best title for this dish and puts it in the comments below, that's what I'll name this dish. So forevermore, for the next 10, 20 years, however long this video is up, it'll be named by the name that you give me for this particular dish. So let's go. So this is quite a simple dish. Now just imagine you're at home and you've had your main meal, and you know, most times you feel, I just could do something a little bit sweet, but all you've got in the house is just a bit of bread, you've got some cinnamon, you've got a bit of sugar, some raisins, some apples, and what can you do with that? How random is that? I'm going to show you how you can make a dessert out of this random bunch of ingredients. So to begin with, I'm going to call them how to make apple parcels. 1 teaspoonful of ground cinnamon, 50 grams of soft brown sugar, a handful of raisins, 6 slices of wholemeal bread, 3 apples, and 1 teaspoonful of vanilla essence. Step 1, peel and chop your 3 apples. Once the apples are peeled, just chop them up. If you notice, I'm using my claw grip. Before I was using the bridge technique, so claw. Make sure you notice how my fingers are behind the line of the blade. What I'm going to do is just chop these up. Fairly fine, because we're going to cook them, and the finer they are, the quicker they'll cook down, because I'm not going to be using much water. I'm just going to let the juice of the apples themselves cook the apples. So in order to do that, I need to try and chop them as fine as I can. Okay, all our apples fairly finely chopped now. I've chopped it particularly fine because I'm not going to use any water when I'm cooking it, so I want it to just cook down as quickly as possible. Next, I'm just going to pop that into a saucepan. I'm not going to use any sugar either. Pop it in a saucepan, and then into that, from additional sweetness, pop in a handful of raisins, and then leave that to cook down for about 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is going to trim off the crust, nice and tight. Just trim off the edge of the crust. I'm going to just trim the crust off. The aim is to try and make them all about the same size, so let's see if we can grab a bunch at the same time. Do a couple at a time. Okay, so we've trimmed the crust off. That's going to be the pastry, so to speak, for our apple parcels. Now we don't necessarily have to throw these away. If you wanted to, you can blitz these up in a food processor and use them as breadcrumbs. I'm going to put this one side for now. Okay, apple's been steaming down now for a few minutes. Into that, I'm just going to add a few drops of vanilla essence. You can see, get nice and soft. About 5 more minutes, that should do it. Okay, our filling is done now. The apples are nice and soft, but they still have some little bit of bite to them. And there's a nice bit of sweetness, surprisingly, from the sugar in the apples themselves, but also from the addition of the raisins. So I'm just going to leave that to one side now to allow that to cool, and I'm going to work on the pastry side of our apple parcels. Next, add your 50 grams of soft brown sugar and a teaspoonful of cinnamon. To a glass bowl, and just stir in 150 ml of hot water. Give it a stir, just enough for all the sugar to dissolve into the water, and leave that to cool. Okay, here's where our elements come together now. We have our bread, we have our filling, but what kind of dessert is this going to be? Well, let's find out. First thing is, we dip our bread in our sweet liquid solution, both sides. Squeeze it out. So this solution, just a reminder, has got our cinnamon and our brown sugar. So I've dipped it in. After I've dipped, I'm squeezing it out. It's relatively flat. Now this dish actually works better if the bread's a little bit older because it's a little bit firmer. Okay. And then next we get us a spoonful of our filling. Pop it on top. And close it up. Leave that there. That's one. Now another word for these, should be, they taste a little bit like a healthy version of the McDonald's apple pies. So that's one. Okay, let's just try one again. Dip in our liquid, either side, squeeze out. Squeeze out quite a bit of the water, but at the same time, you don't want the bread to fall apart. Another spoonful of our mixture. Try not to overfill, because we want them to be able to close again. Pinch them together. That's two. I'm going to go ahead and use up the rest of my bread, and then we'll go to the next stage. And here we are, all our parcels all sealed up. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to put them in the fridge for about 20 minutes, and then we're going to come back. And the final stage, actually, we're going to deep fry them, so that's a nice treat. So I'm going to put them in the fridge for 20 minutes, and then we'll come back and finish off the process. Okay, so the final part now, our oil is getting nice and hot. Turn the temperature down a little bit. Just going to check the temperature. If I just dip a little bit of bread in, it's sizzling straight away, that tells me it's up to temperature. So now, I'm going to drop one of my parcels in. Let's see what happens. So you go to a little golden brown all round. Remember, you're only really cooking it until the outside's nice and cooked because the inside's already cooked. That's a lovely colour. Tap off any excess. Let's go again. So here we are with our apple cinnamon parcels. And here's one that I've cut in half. And you can see, if you could smell it, smell the caramelization of the sugar, the cinnamon inside. Nice chunky but softly cooked apple. Beautiful. Just bread, just apple, a few raisins, and yeah, we have a tasty dessert. Well, is it tasty? Let's see. Oh, really good. Crispy on the outside, soft on the inside. The cinnamon really comes through really well. The apples and raisins are soft, but yet still have enough bite to them, so they're not going to mush. Really, really good. The taste not that dissimilar to a McDonald's apple pie, but there's going to be considerably less fat in it because instead of using puff pastry, which is about 50% fat, we've used a slice of wholemeal bread, although we have deep fried it. So, but there we have it. Our tasty apple parcels. Now that's my name. I need you to help me out. I need you to find me a better name for this dish. So whichever of you comes up with the best name for this dish, I'll rename this dish in your honor. So I'll come up with a top name to name my apple parcels dish, and it'll be named that way forever. Once again, thanks for joining me at FoodTech 101. FoodTech 101 is now also on Facebook and Instagram. And our email is admin@foodtech101.co.uk. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Come on, let's spread this FoodTech 101 love. Let's try and get our way right up to 1,000 subscribers. We're at 200 odd at the moment, which is pretty good because we've only been going for a couple of months. But let's crank this baby up to 1,000 subscribers. So tell your friends, your grandma, your granddad. Let's get people watching and talking about FoodTech 101. My name is Mr. Liebert, so you can call me Sir.